Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Well, a full hour of crime drama straight ahead. We start off with Jack Webb and an episode of Dragnet. This episode, entitled The Big String, was originally broadcast January 18th, 1953.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the homicide detail. A man walks into your office and tells you he returned to his home to find that his wife was gone. She left no indication where she was going. Foul play is suspected. Your job, find her.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, July 7th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on my way into work, and it was 4:58 p.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
John, that you?
Yeah. Been here long?
No, I just got in. Sure a beautiful day, isn't it?
Yeah, summer's really here, isn't it?
This daylight saving time makes a difference. Got a lot more time, seems like. Made me think about my vacation.
Well, you're doing a couple of weeks, aren't you?
Yeah, first part of August.
Figured out where you're going yet?
Yeah, Fay and I talked it out. You know, Joe,
Oh, what's that?
I think maybe I had Armin figured wrong.
Armin? That's your brother-in-law?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This year, Fay and I got to talking where we're going to spend the vacation. Fay wants to go up to Big Bear. I'm saying Mexico.
Yeah.
You know, I figure a little fishing. I hear the yellows are hitting pretty good.
The what?
Yellowtails.
Oh, yeah.
You don't fish much, do
No,
you,
I don't
Joe?
fish at all. You know.
Well, they're supposed to be hitting pretty good, but Fay can't see Mexico. And darn if old Armin doesn't chime in and say he thinks Mexico's a great idea.
Well, that's swell.
Yeah, tells Fay all about the beaches down there and how good the food is, all about the air, healthy. You know, really sells her.
So that's where you're going, huh?
No, Fay didn't buy it. Going to the mountains.
Well, fishing's supposed to be pretty good up there, too, isn't it? That's what I've read, I guess.
I suppose so, but... Old Armin, how do you like that guy? He sure surprised me.
Yeah, maybe he's going to work out, huh?
Yeah.
I'll get it.
Okay.
Homicide, Friday. Yes, sir, it is. I beg your pardon. Could you talk a little louder? Yes, sir. Uh-huh. Yes, sir. Well, when was that? I see. When? Yes, sir. What was that address again? All right, I have it. Yes. Yes, sir, that's right. We'll be right out. Right, bye. Well, we got one to roll on. Kidnapping out in Hollywood. The man on the phone gave his name as Henry Wagner. He said that he'd come home from work and found that his wife was gone. He said on the phone that he'd found a note demanding ransom and cautioning him against calling the police. 5:22 p.m. Frank and I arrived at the house on Temple Hill Avenue. We parked the car down the street from the house and went up to the front door. Frank would remain in the car for a few minutes and then follow. In that way, if the kidnappers were watching the house, they wouldn't be as likely to know that we were working on the case. I rang the bell and waited.
Yes, you're the police?
Yes, sir, that's right. My name's Friday.
Oh, hello. Come in, please, quickly. I don't want them to see you.
Who's them, sir?
The kidnappers. They might be watching. I don't know what I'm going to do. Terrible thing to have happen. Just doesn't make sense.
All right, now, sir, if you just try to calm down and tell me what happened here. We want to start right from the beginning.
All right. I got home from school about 4:30. Myra wasn't here. I looked at the house for her. Figured, like you said on the phone, that she might have gone to the store. When I couldn't find her, I started looking for a note. That's when I found the ransom demand right there on the coffee table.
And you said you got home from school, is that it?
Yes, I teach political science at the university.
Well, when did you last see your wife?
When I left this morning, about 7:30, I have a class at 8.
Have you talked to her since?
Yes, I called her about 1:15.
Did everything seem all right then? I mean, did she seem to be upset, anything like that?
No, everything seemed to be normal.
Did she say if there was anyone with her when you talked to her?
No, if there was, she didn't give any indication of it.
I see.
I know that this isn't a hoax, if that's what you're thinking. I know that Myra wouldn't do a thing like this. She's a serious woman. I guess you might say that she had a rather dull sense of humor. No, I know that she wouldn't do a thing like this as a joke.
Well, no, sir, it's not that. I'm just trying to get all the facts here. Wonder if I could see the note.
Yes, I left it over here on the desk.
That'll be my partner. I'll let him in if it's all right. There, Frank.
Yeah.
Money. See here. Mr. Wagner, this is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do,
Mr.
sir?
Wagner.
How do you do? I'll get the note.
Well, I'd rather you wouldn't handle it anymore, sir.
Oh, all right. You're going to try to get some fingerprints from it? That right?
Well, that's the idea, yes, sir.
You read it, Joe?
Yeah, it's made up of newsprint. It's been cut out of the paper. Looks like one of the morning papers.
Yeah.
I'll read it to you. It says put $10,000 in 5s, 10s, and 20s in a shoebox. Make sure the bills are unmarked. On July 8th, drive up Deer Canyon Drive at 10:30 p.m., 5 miles past the turnoff. You'll see a white string across the road. Drop the shoebox out of the car, go on back home. Your wife will be returned. Don't tell the cops. If you tell anybody, we'll kill your wife.
Deer Canyon Drive.
Yeah, you know, it's up above Laurel.
Oh, yeah. $10,000. Do you have that kind of money, Mr. Wagner?
No, sir. I don't know how I'm going to raise it. I have to, but I don't know how I'm going to do it.
Have you noticed anyone lately that's been in the neighborhood here? I mean, anybody loitering around without any reason to be here?
No, I haven't. Of course, you must understand I'm not home a great deal. But Myra didn't say anything about it. I'm sure she would have if she'd seen anybody like that.
You and your wife have any enemies that'd do a thing like this, would you know?
None that I can think of.
Do you have any household help?
I beg pardon?
Household help. Anyone that comes in to help your wife with the housework. You know, day maid, something like that.
Well, there's Betty Jo. She comes in once a week to clean up the house.
When was she last here?
Let me see. That was Saturday. That's her usual day, Saturday. I guess it was then.
Didn't you see her last week?
No. You see, I had to go out by Pomona this last weekend. Series of lectures I wanted to catch. I left early Saturday morning, didn't get back until late that night.
Did your wife go with you?
No, she stayed at home. She had a little touch of the virus and figured she'd better stay at home and take care of it. Are you sure this is the right thing to do? Maybe I should have handled this myself.
No, sir, you did the right thing. I wonder if you could give us a description of your wife, Mr. Wagner.
Why? You aren't going to tell anyone else about this, are you?
No, sir. The information will be handled in the usual confidential manner.
Oh. Well, I guess you men know what you're doing.
All right, sir, if you'd just give us a description, if you could.
Well, Myra is about 5'3". I guess she weighs about 130 pounds.
Mm-hmm. How old is she, sir?
42. Just turned 42. Birthday last month, June 14th.
How about the color of her hair?
Sort of an auburn, I guess you call it. Little gray up in here, along the sides.
Mm-hmm. Would you know what she was wearing?
No, I wouldn't have the slightest idea. I don't know her clothes well enough to be able to look at what's in her closet and tell you what she had on.
Mm-hmm. How about marks?
I don't think I understand.
I'm sorry. I mean, any visible birthmarks or scars, anything that might make it easier to identify her?
No, I don't think so. Oh, wait a minute. There's a very small scar just under her ear right here. A couple of years ago, Myra and I went fishing up in the Sierras. Myra got a trout fly caught there. When they took it out, it left just a very small scar. But I don't think you'd be able to see it unless you were really looking for it.
Mm-hmm. Anything else outstanding about her?
No, there isn't.
I wonder if we could have a photo of her. Do you have one?
Of course.
Wonder if you'd give us the address of this Betty Jo?
Surely. I think Myra kept it in the phone book. I'll look for you. Do you think they'll really do it, officer? Kill Myra?
Well, we're going to try to stop them, sir. I don't think so.
Well, how about the money? Should I get it together? Not a lot of time if I have to meet them tomorrow night.
We'll take care of that.
Here's the address.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know what I'll do if they hurt Myra. I just don't know. It's odd, isn't it, Sergeant?
What's that?
Myra and I have been married for 22 years. I guess I always just took her for granted. Haven't been separated at all during that time. Just took her for granted.
Yes, sir.
I guess you have to lose something before you know what it's worth.
5:43 p.m. We asked Mr. Wagner not to touch anything in the house. We told him that after his wife had been returned and our men could move safely about the neighborhood, the house would be gone over for physical evidence. 2 men came out from the office and a stakeout was placed on the house. The note was taken downtown and photographed. Dean Bergman lifted several clean prints from it. However, comparison with those taken from Mr. Wagner eliminated them. The maid, Betty Jo, was contacted, but she could tell us nothing. In the meantime, Sergeant J. Allen at the crime lab prepared a shoebox as directed by the abductors. Dummy packages of money were placed in the box, and the container was wiped clean of all fingerprints. The area where the meet was to take place was staked out. The following morning, Wednesday, July 8th, Henry Wagner went to teach his classes at the university as usual. Late in the afternoon, he returned home, and at 9:45 p.m., he got into his car and left the house. I'd gotten into the back seat of the car earlier, and I kept out of sight. In an undercover unit behind us, Frank, Lieutenant Gorham, and Gil Encinas kept us under observation in the event that we missed contact with the kidnappers. 10:26 p.m. We turned off Benedict Canyon onto Deer Canyon Drive.
I hope I'm doing the right thing. I can't help thinking of what they might do to Myra.
Try to take it easy, Mr. Wagner. We know how you feel. Everything that can be done has been taken care of here.
That's what you've been telling me for the past hour. Doesn't make me feel any better about what's happening.
Can you still see that car behind us?
No. I think they dropped back when we turned off Benedict.
Uh-huh. How's it look up ahead?
Can't see much. Dark.
How far off the canyon have we come?
About 4.5 miles.
You got your box right there ready to throw it out?
Yes, sir. Right here on the seat.
All right, now remember, when you toss it out, try to lift it by the strings.
Right, I'll remember. I just hope we're doing the right thing. I'll never forgive myself if anything happens to Myra. $10,000 just isn't worth it. Wait a minute. There it is. String across the road.
See anybody around it?
No, it's so dark. I can't see anything but what's in front of the car.
How close are we to the place here?
About 50 or 60 feet.
All right, now take it slow. Don't give any indication that you aren't doing exactly what they told you to. And remember, don't handle that box. Hold it with a string.
All right. We're here. I'm throwing the box out.
All right, now close your door.
What now?
Go up the road a little, and then turn around and drive back. Act like everything is just the way they told you to handle it.
All right.
Take it easy now.
We can turn around here.
All right. You see anyone move for the money?
No, not yet. Maybe when I get turned around. Just a second. There's a driveway here. Oh, it's pretty dark back there.
All right, can you see anything at all?
Nothing there. I don't see anyone.
All right, now just keep driving. If there's anybody to pick up the money, it'll look better if you don't cause any trouble.
I don't know about all of this, Sergeant. Somehow I still can't get the idea out of my mind that we've done the wrong thing. That they know all about it, and that they're going to kill Myra.
Well, there's no reason that they should know that there's anything wrong, Mr. Wagner. From what they can see, you're doing just what they told you. They got nothing to tell them any different here.
But what if they found out? What if they know that you're working on the case? What if they know about it? They might kill Myra. I'd never forgive myself. I never should have told you about it. I should have taken care of it myself. They'll kill her. I know they will. They'll kill her because you're working on it. The way it is now, she hasn't got a chance.
No, you're wrong there, Wagner. The odds are on her side now. 10:45 p.m. Henry Wagner and I left the meeting place. About a mile down Deer Canyon Drive, Wagner dropped me off, and then he started down Benedict Canyon Drive and continued on home. I met with Frank, Lieutenant Gorham, and Sergeant Gil Encinas. Then we started back on foot. We cut off the road and waited on the hill overlooking the meeting place. Frank told me that they'd seen no activity on the road while Wagner and I were making the meet. We moved in closer. 11:30 p.m. No sign of the kidnappers. The moon came up and we could see the white string across the road. In a patch of manzanita, we could see the shoebox containing the dummy packages of money. We waited. Midnight. 1:30 a.m. Still no sign of the kidnappers. 2:30. 4. At 4:45 a.m., the sun came up and Frank and I left the area. Lieutenant Gorham and Sergeant Gil Encinas continued to stake the meeting place. If the kidnappers had been in the vicinity, we'd missed them. Our only course now was to wait for them to contact Henry Wagner again. 8:15 a.m. Frank and I checked out and went on home to take a shower and get something to eat. At 11:12 a.m. Thursday morning, we checked back into the office.
Rough night, huh?
Yeah, there's nothing to show for it.
Anything from Gorman and Encinas?
No, I don't see anything.
There's one thing I found out.
What's that?
I need a heavier coat for nights.
Yeah?
Saw an ad in the magazine. Advertised those English duffel coats. Look real good.
What?
Duffel coats. Wore 'em in the North Atlantic during the war. You know, Joe, they're real heavy. Got a hood that comes up. Should be real warm.
A hood?
Yeah, you know, like a monk wears. When you aren't wearing it, looks just like a collar. When it gets cold, you raise up the little gimmick, and there you are, warm as anything.
You know, Frank, somehow I just can't see you in there.
Yeah? Well, I noticed you weren't any too warm last night. Next time we do duty like that, I'm going to be ready for it.
Yeah, just like a monk. I'll get it. Homicide Friday. Yes. Oh, yes, Mr. When was that? Uh-huh. Yes, sir, right away. Well, that's it.
Huh?
The Wagner woman, she's home.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
From January 18th, 1953, Dragnet on Classic Radio Theater.
Here's some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or if, like a lot of people, you just have a plan you're not happy with, you still have a choice. It's called MediShare. It's a Christian healthcare sharing program. There are more than 400,000 members now, and they love it. In fact, MediShare has double the customer satisfaction rate compared to that of health insurance. And MediShare really is the gold standard when it comes to healthcare sharing. It's been around more than 25 years. Members have shared more than $4 billion of each other's medical bills. Plus, MediShare is for you. It has saved its members billions by advocating on their behalf. Best of all, the typical savings for a family is around $6,000 a year. So if you think you're stuck with a high-cost health plan that doesn't have much to offer, think again. Medishare has a 98% customer satisfaction rating, and you are invited to be part of it. Call now. 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater here on your favorite station. From January 18th, 1953, more of Dragnet and the Big String.
11:30 a.m. Frank and I drove out to the Wagner home. The officers on stakeout told us that Mrs. Wagner had walked into the house at about 11 o'clock that morning. As soon as she'd gotten inside the house, she collapsed. The family doctor had been called, and she was treated for shock. Other than some scratches on her arms and around her face, she was unharmed. The officers told us that they'd been unable to interrogate her so far. We talked to the doctor, and he told us that we could talk to her until the sedative took effect.
Honey, these are policemen. They want to ask you a few questions.
What?
Police officers, honey. There's Mr. Friday and there's Mr. Smith.
Oh, yes.
They want to ask you some questions, dear, about the people who took you.
Oh, all right.
It won't take very long, Miss Wagner.
That's all right. I want to help you get them.
All right, now if you just tell us how it happened.
How it happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Sergeant, you have to do this now. Maybe later when she's rested.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Wagner. We haven't got much choice here. We'd like to get to the people who did this. If we wait until later, we might not be able to get them.
Yes, I didn't think of that. Well, if the doctor says it's all right, go ahead.
Miss Wagner,
Yes?
do you know the people who did it? The people who took you?
No.
You never seen them before?
No, never.
All right, now, could you just tell us what happened?
I guess so. They came to the door about 2:30.
Who are they, ma'am?
Well, I just saw a man. Later, when we got into the car, there was a woman, too.
All right, go ahead.
They told me that Henry'd been in an accident, that he'd been hurt, that he was at the hospital. Said they wanted to take me to him.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't know any different. I went with them. I thought that Henry was hurt. I didn't know any different.
You have to do this, officers. She's home, safe. That's all I care about. That's all that's important. Why don't you let her get some rest? Then you can talk to her. Talk as much as you want to. But please, you can see what this is doing to her.
Yes, sir. Now, look, this isn't an easier on us. We've got a job to do here, like we had when she was gone. We know how you feel, but we'd like to get to those people.
It's all right, Henry. I'm all right, dear.
Where'd they take you, ma'am?
First, I think they were going to take me to a house near here. I didn't notice the street, but it was near here. I'm sure of that. Then when we got near there, I knew that something was wrong, that they weren't going to take me to Henry like they said. I knew it then.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I told them to let me out of the car. Said that they'd better let me go.
Mm-hmm.
The woman, she was in the back seat with me, said for me to keep my mouth closed. I tried to get out the door, and she hit me. Then the two of them got into an argument. The man started to yell at the woman that it wasn't any good, that they'd better forget the whole thing. And the woman said that they'd gone too far for that now, that they had to go through with it.
Uh-huh.
Well, then they put a blindfold on me, tied my hands and blindfolded me, and then they started to drive.
Well, at any time, did either of them use a name, in talking to each other?
No, I don't think so. At least if they did, I don't remember it.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Miss Wagner.
Well, then they started to drive. I couldn't see where they were going, but I know that they headed out the Arroyo Seco toward Pasadena. I could tell from the way we went. Then I heard the woman talk about the turnoff to get on the Seco. Right then the man told her to shut up.
Yes, ma'am.
We drove for quite a while and then stopped. They made me get out and took me into a house.
Did you have any idea where you were at the time, ma'am?
No, I didn't.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, ma'am.
Well, they took me into the house and put me in a room. Tied me up. I couldn't move, couldn't do anything. They locked the door, and I could hear them arguing in the next room. The man was really telling the woman off. Said that she was a fool, that she'd really botched the whole thing up.
I see.
That night, they brought in a plate of food. Told me it was time to eat. All there was were some prunes. That's what they fed me all the time I was there, prunes. Never did take the blindfold off.
Was there anything at all that would let you know where you were?
Oh, a couple of things. They're probably kind of silly, but maybe you can make something out of them.
What's that, ma'am?
Well, there was a clock that was in the room where they had me, one of those chime clocks, tolled every 15 minutes, like Westminster chimes.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think it was a very big clock. Chimes sounded small.
Mm-hmm.
Then there were the trains.
Trains?
Yes, every once in a while I'd hear trains going past. Sounded like they were near, maybe a couple of blocks away, not much more than that.
But do you think that you could give us a description of the man and woman, Miss Wagner?
Yes, I think so. First, I was so upset with thinking that Henry was hurt that I didn't notice, but I think I can describe them for you.
All right, ma'am, that'd be fine.
There's one thing, though.
What's that?
I'd be positive if I saw them.
12 noon. We continued to talk to the Wagner woman. She gave us a description of the man and woman who had kidnapped her and a description of the car they'd used. We called the information into the office, and a local and an APB were gotten out. We ran the descriptions through R&I, but we got no make. 2:45 p.m. As one of the possibilities for identifying the locality described by Mrs. Wagner, Frank and I left the house and drove to the office of one of the milk companies in the city. We talked to the driver that handled the area in which Mrs. Wagner said the kidnappers were going to stop. He couldn't identify the man and the woman from the description. We checked 2 more milk companies, and on the 3rd, we got a tentative identification. The driver of the route told us that we could be asking about a Mr. and Mrs. Thomas Harper, he thought. He gave us their address, and Frank and I drove out there. On the way, we called the names into R&I and had them make a check for us. They said they had a record on a Thomas Harper who answered the description. He'd served time in San Quentin and in Folsom penitentiaries. He'd been sentenced both times for armed robbery and ADW. There was no record on Mrs. Harper and no wants at the present time for her husband. 5:57 p.m. Well, we better try it again.
All right. Probably aren't in.
No, the car parked down the street here. Could be theirs. Checks on that description we got from the Wagner woman.
Yeah, I think somebody's coming.
Yeah, what do you want?
You Thomas Harper?
Yeah, that's right.
Police officers would like to talk to you.
What about?
Just like to talk to you.
All right, come on in.
Who is it, Tom?
Cops.
What do they want?
Say they want to talk. I don't know what about.
Just a routine investigation.
Who are you trying to kid?
What do you mean by that, Harper?
Somebody's done something, you need a pigeon. I got a record, so I'm right for you guys to lean on.
What's the matter? You got something to worry about?
Not a thing in the world, but I know you guys, you're going to try.
And probably succeed. January 18th, 1953, Dragnet, The Big String. I'm Wyatt Cox. You're listening to Classic Radio Theater. Mike Lindell, the inveterate CEO of MyPillow, wants to give back to listeners. You can get great discounts on all MyPillow products if you go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener special. Deep discounts on all MyPillow products, like the buy one, get one free special on Giza Dream Sheets. All MyPillow products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty. Call 1-800-951-8175 or go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener special. Use my promo code USA. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater here on your favorite station. Now the conclusion of Dragnet, The Big String, January 18th, 1953.
What do you want, anyway?
Can people tell us your activities for the past 4 days?
What for?
Just tell us, will you?
Yeah, tell us. You got an angle, you wouldn't be here. You're trying to pin something on us, and you know it.
You want to tell us what you've been doing?
We haven't left the house at all.
Can you prove that?
Prove it to who? You? You got no right to come in here and ask a lot of questions.
She's right. You haven't got any right to do that. Now, either you pull us in or you get out of here.
All right, Harper. We're getting ready to leave anyway. We'll see you later.
Yeah, let's go, Frank.
Right.
We better call the office and have the house staked. As soon as Ms. Wagner feels better, we'll have her see if she can make an identification here, huh?
I don't think that'll be too hard, Joe. Found this bill from the gas company on a table in there.
Yeah?
House in Pasadena.
Harper's mugshot had been pulled and sent to the Wagner home for identification. Mrs. Wagner was still under sedatives. 7:15 p.m. Frank and I drove out to Pasadena. We got in touch with the police department out there, and 2 officers were assigned to accompany us to the address on the gas bill. The house was unoccupied, and there were advertising papers strewn all about on the lawn. With the officers, we entered the house and went through it. In some of the rooms, there were pieces of furniture, and in the living room of the house, we found a mantel clock that chimed on the quarter hour. On an end table, we found a ball of white string that looked like the same type that had been used to mark the meeting place up on Deer Canyon Drive. In one of the back bedrooms, we found prune seeds scattered around on the floor. A stakeout was arranged on the house. We contacted the men watching the Harper residence and found that the suspects were still there. 9:56 p.m., Frank and I arrived back at the Harper home in Hollywood. The lights were out and the house was dark. Frank went around to the back of the house.
Yeah? What do you want this time of the night? Did you guys ever give up?
All right, Harper, let's get dressed. We want to talk to you downtown.
You tying a pinch to me?
You called it.
For what?
Kidnapping.
You're out of your mind.
Come on, get dressed.
Who is it, honey?
Cops say we kidnapped somebody.
What?
Fuzz has an idea we kidnapped somebody.
You're kidding.
Afraid not, Miss Harper. You better get dressed, too. Anybody else in the house?
Yeah, we take in boarders.
Don't get smart. Where's that door go?
Bedroom.
Just the one bedroom here?
That's right. We're roughing it.
Just the kitchen over here?
Yeah.
All right, come on. How about the bath?
In there.
All right, we'll all go. Come on. All right. Let's go back to the kitchen. This door go out the backyard?
You're a cop. You figure it out.
Okay, Frank.
Everything all right in there, Joe?
Yeah, fine.
You ain't kidding about this kidnap thing, are you?
No, let's go.
What makes you figure it might be us?
You got a house in Pasadena?
Why do you ask that?
Have you got one?
No.
You're lying. Property records in Pasadena say you have. We checked the house. Matches the one we're looking for.
All right.
That's right. We got the woman you kidnapped. She's identified your picture, you and your wife.
She couldn't identify me. I haven't got a record.
You ain't taking me no place.
Frank, get out of my way. Hold it. Hold it right there.
All right, come on. On your feet. Now, shake it up. He's clean. Hands behind you.
I told you what had happened. I told you we should let her go right away. I told you.
Oh, shut up.
You and your bright ideas. 10 grand easy. You and your bright ideas. Well, look what it got us.
Look, Buster, you didn't yell when you thought of getting your hot little hands on that dough. You were all for it then. Well, we lost. What do you want me to do about it? Break down and bawl?
Should have known from the beginning. I had nothing but trouble with you from the start. Always wanting something easy. Always wanting big money. Never satisfied.
That's the trouble with kids. Bad losers. Great winners, but bad losers. Well, you're a big boy now. You lost. That's all there is to it. Stop whining.
Easy for you to say. If you get through with me, I'll be in for life. You got no record.
She has now. Let's go.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On November 10th, trial was held in Department 98, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. Thomas Fenton Harper was tried and found guilty of kidnapping. He was sentenced to life imprisonment in the state penitentiary, Folsom, California, without possibility of parole. His wife, Alice Mabel Harper, received a like sentence and is now in the California Institution for Women, Corona, California.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you give a few dimes to help a child out of the smallest prison in the world, an iron lung? Well, that's what you're doing when you join the 1953 March of Dimes. Remember, crippled children are depending on your help. So give your dimes and your dollars to the 1953 March of Dimes.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Virginia Gregg, Jonathan Hull. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
From January 18th, 1953, Dragnet on Classic Radio Theater.
What does it mean to be an American? Just what are our American values? Working hard to succeed, loving God, country, and family, being honest, strong, and compassionate.
Supporting our Constitution and recognizing that we are blessed to be living in America, the greatest country in the world.
Our Bill of Rights protects us, our freedoms of worship, speech, and privacy, our right to own firearms, our right to trial by jury,
our right to be free, to live our own lives without some bureaucrat telling us what to do. Most countries don't have these rights.
Want to know more? It's all there in the book. Get your own free book, The U.S. Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Then read it again, and this time share it with your friends. Our great Constitution is the basis of all of our freedoms, our inalienable rights. Get your own copy at freeusbook.com.
Brought to you by the American Media Council.
Now on Classic Radio Theater, Part 3 of the 5-part Yours Truly Johnny Dollar story, The Rico Amerigo Matter. This part originally broadcast January 18th, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for...
Johnny Dollar.
Yeah, Pete Corbin, Dollar. I found your message when I got in, but I don't know why I'm returning your call after that lacing I took from you.
Well, at least you haven't run out on us.
Why should I?
How would you like to explain what you were doing in Port Morris, New Jersey yesterday afternoon at the scene of the so-called accidental death of your client, Ricardo Amerigo?
Oh, yeah, I thought that was you I saw in that car down there.
It sure was. Are you in your office?
Yeah, that's right. I thought you wanted
Well, stay
to know...
there. I do want to know. That and a lot of other things. I'll see you in about an hour after I've made another call.
Okay, I'll be here.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar. Location, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. To the Philadelphia Mutual Liability and Casualty Company. Following is an accounting of further expenses during my investigation of the Ricardo Amerigo matter. Expense account item 6. $33.75. Dry cleaning and new shirts, socks, and so on, including one pair of shoes to replace the ones I lost in the South Jersey swamp while rescuing what I'd thought was a priceless Amati violin in a muddy tidewater inlet called Lucky Hoe Creek. But when I showed it to Harry Branson at Philadelphia Mutual, well, at least he promised to have an expert look it over and pass final judgment. That's the reason for item 7, 85 cents. Taxi to Harry's office in the Security First building.
Oh, come in, John, come in.
Hi, Harry. Well, what have you found out?
Nothing yet, but I should hear from the violin man any minute. John, I do hope I was wrong. Sit down.
Thanks. Harry, I could have committed mayhem when you told me that fiddle I picked up in the swamp isn't the Amati.
To think you nearly drowned retrieving it.
Oh, brother, that's putting it mildly.
But I'm sure Foresto will know.
Foresto?
Foresto Nigliario, however he pronounces it, the violin man.
He really an expert?
Well, he's the one who okayed the $30,000 policy on Amerigo's violin.
Let's just hope this one's it.
Did you learn anything in Port Morris?
Only confirm what you'd already learned from Sergeant Peters down there.
That someone had sawed through some steering connection on Amerigo's car before it crashed through the bridge.
Yeah.
Still no sign of the body?
Nope.
Oh, a man named Adam Bowles called.
Oh, he's an old friend. Used to be a private detective and just can't get it out of his system.
Oh. Well, he called me, you know.
I know.
And I must confess, John, that I'm inclined to agree with him.
That Peter Corbin, Amerigo's agent, did it?
Agent and beneficiary, John. And apparently the one person who knew Amerigo well enough.
I said it to Ad Bowles until I was blue in the face, Harry, and I say it again. Too easy.
But who else?
I don't know. That's what I came back here to find out.
All the evidence.
Circumstantial evidence. The kind of man that'd be a fool to let pile up against him if he really was guilty.
Even so.
Harry, let me do it my own way, huh?
What if this Corbin tries to skip out?
Then will be the time to...
Excuse me. Yes.
Mr. Cherniero to see you, sir.
Cherniero. I knew that was it. Send him in. Man is here, John.
Foresto?
Yes, sure. Oh, well. Come in, Foresto. Meet Mr. Dollar.
Yes, how do you do, Mr. Dollar?
You brought the fiddle?
Yeah.
Right here on the desk. Well?
Thank you. I'll open up the case.
Well, is it?
Mr. Branson, Mr. Dollar, I'm sure.
Well? Well, Mr. Cherniero?
Cherniero. Look, you've only got to look now that I've cleaned away some of the mud and the salt from the swamp where it was found. We're lucky it did not do any real damage to change the appearance. But nobody could tell the way you gave it to me.
Well, how about now that you've cleaned it up?
Yes.
You see here. The shape of the F holes, the curve to the belly.
Yeah?
The beautiful shape, the signs of age. And above all, here, you see, the label.
Label?
Through the F hole, you can see it. There, Niccolo Amati.
Then it is Amerigo's.
See.
You're sure, Mr. Cherniero?
The label says.
And Foresto says.
Well, look, I talked with a fiddle player in the orchestra at my hotel last night. He told me there are literally thousands of imitations of every important violin ever made. Shape, size, label, and all. Now listen, Foresto.
See?
Tell me the truth. Do you really consider yourself an expert?
Well, I'm a seller violins in my store. Violins, harmonicas, ocarinas, victrolas.
How good are the violins you sell?
Oh, so good ones. Some as high as $65.
Harry, do you mean to tell me... With all due apologies, Foresto, do you mean to tell me he was your authority for a $30,000 policy on Ricky Amerigo's violin?
Well, of course, a representative from the Wurlitzer collection in Chicago verified Foresto's opinion at the time.
See, the Wurlitzer know every good violin in the world.
Yeah, Harry, let me have it. I'll give you a receipt for it. I'll bring it back when I'm through with it.
Whatever you say, John. I assume you want to check further on the authenticity.
And you are right.
John.
Yeah.
To put it bluntly... You've still not accomplished very much insofar as Amerigo himself is concerned.
With this fiddle under my arm, I think maybe I will. See you later. Maybe Harry had been right in the very beginning. Maybe I should have known a little more about music, or more specifically, violins. Or maybe I should have left this aspect of the case to someone else and concentrated on the disappearance death of Ricardo Amerigo. Maybe well. Expense account item 8, 80 cents. Taxi to booking agent Peter Corbin's office.
All right, Dollar, let's not waste either your time or either mine. You want to know what I was doing?
That's right, Corbin. The Amati. I found it right where you planted it. In that swamp near Port Morris.
You actually found it. Thank the... What do you mean where I planted it?
What else were you doing down there in the South Jersey swamps?
Is that where you found it?
Well, you ought to know. But frankly, Corbin, I think you overplayed it a bit when you tucked part of one of Amerigo's monogram shirts there with it.
I don't know what you're talking about. Actually, I mean it.
Then what were you doing down there? And, brother, you better make it good.
The same thing you were. Trying to find out what happened to Ricky Amerigo. I tell you, Dollar, I was his best friend. It's a true fact. If his fiddle was down there, too, I didn't see it.
I wish I could believe you. But the way it looks from here, you were willing to have the Amati violin found lying out there in that salt marsh because you couldn't get rid of it without exposing yourself. It didn't put any money in your pocket the way you figure Amerigo's death will.
The way it looks from here, Dollar, that's where you're wrong.
Yeah?
Yeah, actually wrong. If Amerigo's dead, I collect on his insurance as his beneficiary.
That's what the policy says, but believe me...
All right. But you think I wouldn't collect on the Amati fiddle, whether it was found or if it wasn't found. That's where you're wrong.
What are you talking about?
Because I'm also a beneficiary to his will.
How do you know?
Because I'm not only the sole and only heir in his will, I'm also the executive of... executive of his estate, too.
Oh.
So if I was the heavy... What would I take a chance leaving a $30,000 fiddle laying around in some swamp?
Cover up?
$30,000 worth?
All right, what did you do with the hacksaw?
You mean somebody sawed up the fiddle? Oh, no, let me see.
No, easy, will you? Somebody sawed partway through a steering arm on Amerigo's car to make it crash.
Murder?
That's a pretty fair question.
Oh, no, Dollar, no. Oh, no, who would murder a nice, sweet guy like Ricky? Maybe he was a drunk, maybe he hit the skids, but he had no enemies. He couldn't have.
Okay.
Maybe he was just a drunken bum, worthless. He threw away a concert career, but he was a gentleman. An actual gentleman. And he was a sweet guy. Nobody could have murdered him. Oh, no, Dollar, not Ricky.
Pete, would you?
Who was it? Tell me, huh? Who was the lousy punk? I'll kill him.
Okay, Pete, I believe you.
I don't care whether you believe me or not. Will you tell me who done it?
Pete. Pete, will you listen to me?
I'm listening.
Now, look here. Look here and tell me. Is this Ricky's Amati violin?
Yeah, that's it. Ah, poor Ricky. Poor drunk.
You're sure?
I'm sure.
All right, Pete, I'm going to give it to you straight.
All I ask is you
now, listen
tell
to me, will
who...
you? We don't know who killed Ricky Amerigo. We haven't even found his body. The Port Morris police are still trying, of course, but it could have been carried by the tide through that inlet, the Lucky Hole Creek, right on out to the sea. Or, of course, it may appear somewhere along the creek. It'll take weeks to search that swamp thoroughly. Anyhow,
if they do find him, I want to see he gets a decent burial. Will you promise me?
Okay, I'll try, but listen, will you? Because of the sawed-through steering arm, his death was made to look accidental. Double indemnity. And you're the beneficiary. He not only wasn't making you any money because his drinking kept him off the concert stage, but he owed you money, plenty. Now, that's a motive. As for opportunity, who else had as much as you?
Nobody. But I love the poor guy. I try to keep him alive, to get him back on his own feet.
You told me, and I believe you. But the fact remains that the insurance company, the police, even a pretty smart private detective I know, all figure you for number one suspect. And they hope to accumulate enough evidence to move in on you.
And you're with them, huh?
No.
What? Yesterday right here you told me...
Sure, I know I did. But I've had time to think it out. Now, pinning it on you is just too easy. Much too easy. I'll say it to your face, Pete. You're no mental giant. But only an utter fool would let circumstantial evidence like that pile up against him and then commit a murder like that. I may be wrong. Lord help you if I am and find out. But I think you're clean.
I swear I am.
And I'm going to play it that way unless I find solid reason to change my mind. Because, Pete.
Yeah, Johnny?
You're the one person who can help me in this case.
I'll do anything. Actually, anything. Just ask me.
All right. Now, first tell me where you were last Friday evening when Amerigo's car made that dive off that bridge.
Alibi?
That's right, brother, and you can be sure I'll check it.
At Willie's.
All right, who's Willie?
Willie Elliott. He's a saxophone player. He's one of my clients. He was a friend of Ricky's, too.
Well, where can I find him? What's his address?
I'll write it down for you. We had a four-handed poker game.
Who else in the game?
Jerry Goldsmith, 120.
You know Ricardo, too?
Oh, yeah. Composer, conductor, violin player.
Fiddle player, huh? Who was the fourth?
Eric Snowden.
Who's he?
He's a fiddle maker. He lives at his shop. I'll write that down.
Fiddle maker, did you say?
Yeah. Here. Yeah, he was the sole and only man Ricky would ever let touch his amati for repairs and fixing up, you understand?
Who else were good friends of Ricardo's?
While he was making it, plenty. Lately, nobody.
You sure?
Oh, nobody. Johnny, I know. Of course, he hung around a lot of bars. He was a regular.
Give me a list.
Well, let's see. There's a little place over on Pine Street called the Yellow Lamp.
Expense account item 9, $370. A quick sandwich for Pete Corbin and myself and a flock of phone calls to Pete's poker pals. Just to make sure they were in and available when I could get around to see them. I had to phony up an excuse for seeing each of them. A friend of Pete's, just in from out of town, suggested I give you a call, that sort of thing. And apparently it didn't arouse any suspicion. At least it was a start. And for the first time, call it a hunch or whatever you like, I felt I was going to get somewhere in this case. As it turns out, I was. Believe me.
Now, here's our star to tell you about tomorrow's intriguing episode of this week's story.
Tomorrow, a trio of musicians. The question, which one's story was playing a little flat? Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by Sam Dawson, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Be sure to join us tomorrow night, same time and station, for the next exciting episode of Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
And there you have it, part 3 of the 5-part Yours Truly Johnny Dollar story, The Rico Amerigo Matter, as it was originally broadcast January 18th, 1956. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater. Would you do me a favor and thank this station and support their advertisers? It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around. Also, visit my webpage, classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. There you can stream our shows on demand. You can learn more about classic radio collecting. You can contact me there, and we have links to all of our social media so you can stay in touch with us easier. classicradio.stream. If you miss a day on this station, you don't have to miss a single show. Our programs are available anywhere on the internet podcasts are served, including iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and even the Audible app on Amazon. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Have yourself a great day, won't you please? Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater on your favorite radio station.